Hey, it's Dell here. In this video, we're talking all about leather jacket fit. There is so much advice out there about leather jacket fit that is just awful. And this video has been requested for quite some time. And also just in my own kind of looking at leather jacket videos on YouTube and doing research for things that are interesting. You know, there are some videos that have some just staggering views and really horrible advice in them. So, you know, if you're one of the 200,000 people that saw this video that I just recently watched, I got awful advice. I'm sorry to you. I'm glad you're here. I hope you can get some good advice in this video. So in this video, I'm going to tell you all about how a leather jacket should fit. I'm going to show it off with two different jackets with very different kind of sizes that both work well. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to figure out measurements that can work for you if you're not able to try the jacket on before you buy it. But first, I want to tell you this horrible advice that I keep seeing over and over again. You should get a leather jacket that fits like a second skin. You should size down from your normal size. And that's the right way to do it. No, that's the wrong way to do it. Don't follow that advice. You should get a jacket that makes sense, okay? And starting with sizing down, a lot of the time just ain't gonna make sense, okay? And in fact, there's only one time that I have been able to, while kind of considering where this advice would come from, think that sizing down is the proper advice. If you're buying a leather jacket that is made of very thin, stretchy lambskin, for example, then you may very well want to size down in order to account for the amount of stretch that jacket will have with time. Now, almost any other material, that's going to be some real bad advice, and don't follow it. So what size should you get? How should you size a leather jacket? Okay, let's use two jackets as an example. Right now, I'm wearing a Schott 618, okay? I'm 5'9", I'm 175 pounds, and I have about a 40-inch chest. So in US sizing, that makes me a medium or 40, okay? This Schott 618, this is a size 40. Now, I am slightly over a 40-inch chest, so this jacket may be slightly trim on me as a result. Let's look at how the jacket fits real quick. This style is a short style. This style is intended to be trim, but to allow good range of motion. And you should be able to move around in this jacket, and it's really made to be in a seated on a motorcycle riding position. But it should be useful for your everyday activities, and you should be able to do things like zip the jacket up and breathe, which I'm not sure I could do if I sized down. Okay, so let's do that. The jacket is still comfortable, even though it is trim on me. I would also say we're in a modern era. Can you use your phone while wearing this jacket? Okay, some jackets you might find the arm is just too slim on you to do this. Well, you can't really wear that jacket. I will give you a caveat here, which is that this elbow zone is about the area that gets the most stretch in most jackets because of the amount of bending that you do, but there are limits, and it should be comfortable. That's the bottom line. You should be able to wear your jacket. Even from day one, it shouldn't be some straight jacket made out of iron that you're trying to bend into shape. Now, talking about measurements, I'm going to give them to you here for this jacket. We're going to reference them later, okay? So this 618 has a 22-inch chest. The shoulder is 18 inches. The back length is 23.75. And the sleeves are 24.75, okay? Now, I think people are fixated on certain things to look for, like does this kind of seam for the shoulder end on a certain spot? Does this wrist land at a particular spot? Where does the waist hit? And I think first you should think about the jacket and the context for it and how you plan to wear it. You cannot have a blanket statement about where all those things should be, okay? I do think, in general, shorter jackets are more versatile than people give them credit for. I think that if you are interested in wearing a tucked shirt, a shorter jacket tends to be better. If you're looking to have an untucked shirt, maybe a slightly longer jacket is better. Okay, and you can see this reflected in how Schott has some modern styles that are longer. This is technically a 25-inch back length jacket, and they make a lot of jackets now for this kind of biker style that are a 26-inch length, which is it just fits longer. Okay. So without getting caught up in all the details of all those particulars, you should think about how it feels on from a comfort standpoint, and does it make sense with the way that you wear your clothes? Okay. Now, this is a trim fit. There is a really important thing that I want to talk about here before going into like measurement matrix type stuff, which is ease. And it's got different names, but ease or chest ease. There has to be some space between you and the jacket, right? The jacket has to be bigger than you in order for it to fit properly, or else it would be painted on and you would not be able to move at all. You probably wouldn't be able to zip up a jacket that exactly matched your chest size, for example. So if I have about a 40-inch chest and this jacket measures 22 across at the pit, that means it's a 44-inch around. So 44 minus 40, it's about 4 inches of chest ease, okay? And I want you to just hold on to that as a reference point, because the next jacket that I'm going to put on has a bigger amount of ease. And it kind of can show you what oversized can look like and still look good. So here we have a cow leather jacket. This is a California Highway Patrol style. And these jackets, well, one, they were all custom made at the time. These jackets are issued for the purpose of motorcycle police, okay? They get one jacket a year or one jacket every few years. And so if this is a jacket you have to wear year round for duty, then it has to be able to be comfortable in the summer and in the winter, which means it has to have space for layering, right? And so this jacket is a bigger jacket. And I'm going to zip it up and kind of show you how an oversized jacket or a jacket made for layers can still work well even without those layers in it, all right? So this jacket has a 23.5-inch chest. It has 19-inch shoulders. These are bigger shoulders, okay? If you followed some folks' advice that the shoulder seam had to hit at some specific spot, then maybe you wouldn't get this jacket. But why? It's amazing. And you're just missing out because you followed some random advice that it had to be a certain way. Can you imagine sizing down on this jacket? It would completely be against the whole ethos of the style. And you wouldn't be able to layer in it during the winter. So you wouldn't be able to use this jacket properly. Other measurements are, this is a 25-inch back, and the sleeves are kind of short, but it's because these the shoulders are wider. They're a 23.25-inch sleeve length. Okay, so for this jacket, it's significantly bigger. It's a 47-inch chest. Okay, as opposed to a 44-inch chest. That's a lot bigger. It's 3 more inches of ease. But it's the kind of thing, once it's broken in, it doesn't seem awful, right? It looks good. This is a fantastic jacket. Some people really like a jacket from a style perspective that can give them a bigger looking upper body. I think this style in particular is known for that. And part of the way that this style achieves that without becoming too messy looking, it's not that every dimension of this jacket is oversized. It's got an exaggerated chest and shoulders, but it narrows to a kind of normal hip at a normal length for motorcycle position, okay? Now, there are some parts of the design here too that make that possible. It's adjustable, okay? So that these laces down here can adjust this lower hem to really get snug on the person's hips when they're wearing it. Again, this allows for different types of layering over the year. It also allows for weight gain and weight loss over the year to maintain a jacket for duty that can still be useful and not be flapping in the breeze and all that kind of stuff. And this is one of the really cool things about jackets that are built for purpose, and even if you're just using them for your day-to-day, is that you get the benefits of that functionality that the jacket has kind of got built in, right? And using strict sizing advice to decide which of these jackets to get just doesn't work because it ignores too much context. Most people end up with a range of measurements that make sense for their body that in most styles they can use as a kind of starting point to figure out how the fit should work for them. Okay? Or if they know, I'm looking for a trim fit jacket, this is a range that makes sense. And if I'm looking for a jacket for layers, an oversized jacket, I have a range that makes sense. Well, how do we come to that size? How do we conclude what to get, okay? Without getting too complicated with the measurements. Because we're not necessarily buying custom here, but we need to have a simple rule of thumb to go by, all right? And that leads us into the third section of this video. And I'm gonna show you, you will need something for this. It's a tape measure. And not a hard one. It is, you can get a soft tape is the easiest thing. I'm gonna demonstrate how to use this tape measure real quick and to compare it against the sizes on these jackets that you've seen me wear. So you have the tape measure, what do you do with it? First things first, you need to be starting by wearing a t-shirt, okay? Now, if you're going for a really specific sizing advice and you're getting a jacket for one purpose kind of thing, you could actually just get on the clothes that you would be planning to wear with that particular jacket and measure over those clothes and then give yourself a little bit of ease, which we'll talk about how to do that. Otherwise, I think just having a general starting point, you start with a t-shirt, which is pretty much just what is your body's measurements, okay? And we're gonna take the tape measure and we're gonna wrap it around our chest, the widest part of most men's chests, and then we're gonna let the tape relax. We're not trying to squeeze this tape real tight against the body, okay? If you do that real tight, you could get some absurd measurement. Like if I squeeze all my skin and everything, I can get this tape to say 38, but that's not a good measurement. We need a relaxed tape just resting against our body at the right distance, okay? So as you can see here, now, ideally you'll have someone to help you do this. If you're doing it yourself, that's okay, but it does mean, as you can see as I'm moving here, the tape moves a little bit and it's hard for your body to completely relax into the position. But here we go, just over 40 inches. Okay, 40.25, 40.5. Don't get complicated. Don't worry about taking in deep breaths and measuring multiple things. Just get your average with normally inflated lungs. I know this sounds silly, but people ask this question because look, if you go, oh my gosh, your chest is suddenly much bigger. Don't do that. Take the baseline, okay? So I have just about a 40-inch chest. All right, so we know my measurement for my chest is a 40, but what use is that and how do we apply talking about chesties from these two different jackets earlier to some kind of method for figuring out if a jacket will work for us? All right, it's pretty straightforward. There is a range of ease that makes sense for a trim fitting jacket, and there is a range of ease that makes sense for a jacket you want to layer with. It's not a specific number because like most things, nothing is specific or perfect or exact, and depending on exactly what layers you tend to use, a little bit of wiggle room is completely understandable and necessary. So let's consider something around 3 to 5 inches as a trim fit, with 3 inches being a very trim fit and 5 inches being a slightly looser trim fit. And then if we go above that to maybe 5 to 7 inches, that's a looser fit that you could do some layering with. And consider also how that lines up with standard tag sizes that are kind of close to chest size with ease attached. So a 40 with 4 inches of ease is 44 inches. Going up one size to a 42 with 4 inches of ease would be a 46, okay? So we can see like around 6 inches is layer up level and around 4 inches is not layering up level of ease. And you just take that and add it on to your chest size to help figure things out. It's not going to be perfect, but it's a very good starting point. And that will apply for most jackets from most makers. You could run into trouble if it's a custom jacket that you're buying used and it was made particularly short or long. But in general, those sizing matrices that people are making their jackets based on patterns that are intended to fit the standard person, it'll be a really good starting point. And then you can kind of find a jacket that fits you really well and measure all of it, and then you have some direct comparison points aside from the chest. I would say measuring yourself can be a little complicated to come up with a whole set of measurements for yourself to be able to compare to without a good jacket to use. So it's risky, it can be done, but you might end up with some funny numbers. It's something that custom jacket makers will tell you very specific ways to measure your body, and then they have their own ways of accounting for different things with the measurements you've given. I don't know, it seems pretty hard, and I would hate to, in some kind of instructional video for beginners or people that are just learning about that, to try to get into all the different measurements for the body. I think we need to stick with the chest size as the best starting point. So there we have it. We have some information to ignore. Size down as a general standard sizing advice? Ridiculous! We do need to consider the style and how we plan on using the jacket. And then we need to know our own measurements, especially our chest measurement, and the fact that a little bit of ease is necessary, and maybe a little bit more ease is necessary, depending on how we're planning to use the jacket. So that's Dell's sizing advice. I'd love to hear what you think I got right, or what part of sizing you still struggle with. A lot of people really focus on different things. I think this is the way to go to figure out sizing. What do you think?